Hi, I'm Rob, I'm making better, that's what I do. So I got this comment, right, that if you do the drill, and you do, relax and turn, which is an advanced drill, by the way, it looks different. Yeah, of course. But I won't answer why, because that's not the point of the YouTube channel I have. But the point here is that first, when you start doing the drills, you do tilt the lip without holding a club in your hand. That's how you start it. If you have watched the videos, that I put out here, when you start doing the drills, you start them without having a club in your hand. The second thing you do is take a club in your hand, not the ball. Because here's the thing, what happens when the people, because people don't understand this. That's why I said the comment, two pros can't do this. Because when a two pro is trying to do this drill with a club in their hand and a ball, they will, because as soon as they look down, boom, they're going to try to swing. Amateurs will do that too, by the way, if you didn't know it. And the reason for that is because your brain has locked in, looking down, watching a ball. Your brain is contextually obliged to say, swing. Nothing else. You can't fix that. If you do the drills with a ball, you probably won't be able to do them. And you make it much, much harder. Because now, just so you understand it, every amateur and every two pro has a horrible swing mechanic. They all stuck. The reason why you're stuck is because of the modern golf grip and the teachings they have in PGA. That means the median for a 20-year-old, distance-wise, is around 240 yards. And it goes down after that. I have a 68-year-old that can hit 260 plus nowadays. He actually was able to drive a couple of par fours doing this shit I teach. Because I expect people to do this for 6 months a year or something like that. And when people ask me why, I said, this is what I teach. This is why. Either you do it or not. Because what it leads to is to increase the level of skill at some point. So you can do things like the 6 to 8 years, he's able to do now. For his first time in his life, he is longer than ever, and he doesn't know why. He asked me so many questions about this, and I'm not answering. He doesn't need to know. He just needs to do the work. When he gets to the point, I have the tester. He spent, this is many years ago now, but when he contacted me, he said, I've been trying for 5 years here, right? Yeah, and I want to be better at golf. So I went to a two pro coach, PGA, instructor. They have TrackMan video. I did the drills, I did the instruction, they filmed me everything, and they said, everything is good. I went and played and went to shit. And then I did another. So he tried 12 different PGA coaches under a period of 5 years. This guy was dedicated to get better. But they teach you shit, right? So that means your swing, the two pro swing, are shit. Because they're all stuck in compensation. So you can't use the ball. As soon as you look down, you try to do the drills with a ball, especially with the modern golf grip, you can't do them. You have to redo your whole swing. And people generally doesn't want to do that. That's why I don't give a lot of information, because I don't care. I don't get paid, so give a fuck about that. So this guy then, after 5 years, the 12 different PGA teacher contacts me and say, hey, this is going on. I've been trying for 5 years to be a teacher. Do you think, he said, I can help you? And I was like, yeah, sure, send me a swing. He sent me a swing, I looked at the clip, 1 second, and I'll go, oh yeah, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And I could identify it immediately, right, because I know what I'm doing. So I told him on Skype that, this is, what you're doing, and this is what you need to work on specifically, right? And I did that, right? And he worked on that, and went to the range, boom, hit the ball better than ever. And he became a tester. I talked to him about, how are you playing? Well, I go there and hit my shots. What do you mean? You never complain about you can't hit the shots. And he's like, no. People in PGA are scared as fuck for this, because they'll be out of a job. What I know about the golf and such, you never need a swing coach as a two pro. You understand? People think, people assume here, right? A two pro must know what they're doing, right? They must understand the golf swing mechanics and all that stuff. No, they don't. There's pretty ample of proof Tiger Woods didn't understand the golf swing at all, because he went to Butch Ormond with some other guy before that, right? And then they went to Hank Haney, and then they went to Sean Ford and some other guy probably along the way. Eh? And then, he broke his back along the way. Wonder why. And then you have someone like Luke Donald. 2011, that's 14 years ago. Luke Donald, he wanted to win majors. He was number one in the world. You have to remember, this is a guy who was really good at the time. And he wanted 30 more meters. So he asked his swing coach, of course, hey, give me 30 more meters. Because Luke Donald didn't know how to do that. And he assumed his swing coach would be able to do it. He couldn't do it. And then Luke Donald, in his infinite wisdom, channeling, in the light, I'm going to go to someone more famous. And I said, why didn't you go to someone who doesn't know what they're doing? And Luke Donald would say, well, he's more famous. Same education. If you're going to go learn math in school or history in school, it doesn't matter what school you go to or what teacher you have. They're going to teach you about the same math and the same fucking history. It's not going to be any different. There's going to be a personality difference, right? But that doesn't teach you any skill level, right? Because everything you do is a skill level, right? Because everything you do has what I call, in my technology, the work I've been, the model and method I developed called RBM technology is that it's contextual memory. Everything you do is a skill, or skills. Because there is no unconscious mind. So one of the things that people don't want to do is that do the work. They want to understand things. But understanding doesn't teach you skills. If you look at kids, learning to ride a bike or doing tricks with them or a skateboard or, whatever, right? Many, artwork that, the kids pick up, they run a illegal copy of a Photoshop or something like that, and then they learn how to use Photoshop on their own in their home, testing things, so they become good. And then they make a portfolio and get a job, and then they buy a real copy of Photoshop, so because now they can afford it. People learn skills, and skills what makes you do everything. There's this guy in Denmark, Norway, whatever, he teaches archery. So he can take a beginner in archery, never hitting holding a bow. You tell them, hold the bow, take the arrow like this, and then you start throwing objects in the air and tell them, hit those objects. Pretty big object he throws up fast. And people can do that in 10-15 minutes. Consistently, you can hit the object they throw in the air, Robin Hood stuff. And in less than 20 hours, you can do that and hit a coin with an arrow. You throw a coin up and you go, and you hit that fucking coin with an arrow in less than 20 hours of practice. If you go to an archery club, an archery club is PGA in this case. You can never learn that because they can't teach those skills. They're gonna tell you, well, you hold the bow like this, and then you hold your arm like that, and then you stretch out your chest, something like this, and then you do this, and then you aim. And here's the funny thing about people in golf. For two pros can't aim, and the dead giveaway is that when they look left, look left, look left. How many times do the player look left? A lot, right? Do you do it? Oh, of course you do, because you can't aim. When you know how to aim, you don't need to do that anymore. There's no two pro coach that can teach you that. But there is no putting guru like Brad Fax and others can teach you that. They don't know how aiming works. The first thing that happens with putting is that you lose distance control. The way to teach putting in modern PGA golf, this is what Ann Van Dam sucked at putting, by the way. Ann Van Dam was like a 300-yard hitter. And Brandon Chambly called it the best swing in golf, right? And assuming, she was doing it well. She went to LPGA, she qualified for it, which is pretty good. And then she competed and was 22 shots behind the leader after 2 days. 2 days of playing golf, and she was 22 shots or something like that behind. And she wrote on Twitter on this, what the fuck is that about? She couldn't understand how she was 22 shots because she thought she played really well. But she can't putt. For a level of, she's probably 4 to 5 shots worse in putting than the best players there. You can't be that. If you want to play on that PA tour, you need to really be good at putting. And the first thing that happens when, think about it, she hits really long, she plays on the LED tour, European tour and such, and she has to have a short club, so putting doesn't become, much of a, she can win here and there and play pretty well, she's happy with that. But that's not good enough. You need to be able to drop your putting average by 4 shots. From, she was up to 32 or something like that, to around 28. That's a different level of putting. So suddenly you will be 4 shots better by the fourth one there in one round. 8 shots. So she has basically 16 shots behind everybody of the best players when she plays on tour. You can't have that. That's too big of a disadvantage. And she went to Sean Foley to fix her swing. It was not the swing, it was putting, Maybe some other things, I don't know her. So because the amateurs and even tour pros, when they start teaching you that modern putting, you can't aim. So this control goes out the window, right? And it's very, very funny when I had an 8-year-old on the putting green once, this is many years ago now, and he was all over the map with putting, and I felt, man, I can't handle that. I was watching him putt, 5 meters past the hole, all over the map. So I walked over to him. I said, this is what I do, because he tried to do, the modern putting that people teach, right? I said, and I showed him what I did, right? And you can try that if you want. And I walked away. So, and he did. He was 80 years old. He just, okay, and he tried it out. Everything, all the balls were around the hole now. His putting was banned from absolute fucking disaster to, oh, okay, no. 2 months later, I met him, and he told me he made a long fucking putt for the first time in his fucking life. He was so fucking happy. I was like, cool. And he's 80 years old. Because people, tour pros, they don't know that when the tour pro guru, putting guru comes and teach them, they don't know, they can't teach you to aim properly. You look left. You do that putting too. Do you know why? They don't. So your observation of, when you're doing the drills and such is correct, right? I have no problem, people make a good observation, I have no problem with that. The problem that happens next is that your, understanding and the meaning of that will be wrong, usually, right? Because people don't know what's going on in the golf swing. Your golf swing suck. I don't know who you are, I don't care, because your golf swing will suck. As soon as you take them on the golf grip and do whatever you do, you develop so many bad habits, because that's why, you have to compensate, right? And there's so many bad habits, I can't fix them. So what I do here is just teach people, start doing all this stuff without the club, with a club, and then the last step is with the ball. Because here's the thing, when you have the ball, your brain will look down and your brain will go swing. Because that's your contextual memory in the context, in the skill that your brain has learned. This is why tour pros can't, do the drill properly, because they will try to swing. You're not supposed to. Your brain will override what you want to do. Understanding doesn't help you. It won't work. You have to learn the skill. So this is why, 3 years ago I had this 50-year-old telling me the story about, I'm at 240 yards, he says, I've been trying to PGA and it doesn't work. I lost 10 yards or something like that, and I'm just hating golf now. And I said, yeah, okay. And so what's the deal? Well, I'm going to go all in on your stuff. I'm going to shake my grip, do the drills. He said, oh, he was so happy. Okay, I said. And I understand how people operate, right? After a week I said, can you post doing the drill? Tilt and left and all that. Oh yeah. He didn't do it. So I called him out on it, all right? That's not my drill, that's not my instruction, what are you doing? And he said, well, it feels bad doing it. So you did it for a week, and when you start doing it, it feels bad. You're 240 yards, but it feels bad doing something differently now, because you have to. And see, because it feels bad, you don't want to do it, because you know better than me, right? That's what people do, they think they know better than me. This is called a Dunning-Kruger, mentality of people. They have a confidence of their, competence. I am competent, they say. I know things, when they don't, right? And he's like, and I said, that's not my instruction. You said you're gonna all in and follow my instruction. So why don't you? And he was like, I don't want to fucking do it. It's your choice. I don't get paid either way. He came in, started doing the drill. 6 weeks later, so he goes from, he had 220 meters. In the modern world, where I live, we use meters and centimeters. So he's at 220 meters. And now 6 weeks later, he is at 320 meters. And that's, for those people who live in a third world country, 350 yards. So he increased his swing speed and all that stuff, 100 meters. End of the season, he shoots one in the park. 3 years later now, he's a scratch player. And he had to relearn the game fully. And I said, people say, you you think this will happen for me? I don't know, people are different. And the more bad habits you have, the more shit you will have to fix. Because it will take longer, simply put, right? There is no shortcuts. There is no, and this guy, 50-year-old, he tells me after he started hitting 350 and 320 meters, he said that, what the, I thought it were a secret, he said. Because of Ben Hogan and all that shit. Ben Hogan didn't know what he was doing, by the way. There is a video clip on YouTube and Ben Hogan explains his swing. He got it 100% wrong, by the way. It's very funny when he explains to people, this is what he actually is doing and how he do all what he's doing. What he tells people to do is 100% wrong. Okay. This is just how it works. And and when you start hitting distances you can't comprehend, well, because he believed after 2 years with PGA it must be a secret. And I said, it's just skills that you have to learn to do. And he thought when I said that, it's just skills you have to learn to do, that must be bullshit. Because he knew better. He knew it was secrets. It must be a secret, because if I had the secret, I understand it, I can do it. And he was 100% wrong. It's just skills. The same way, people don't understand how, reality works or perception and behavior and all that stuff. I do. Psychology doesn't know that. People teach you in psychology something called the unconscious mind. And the problem with that in golfers is that you start believing all these kind of sport coaches, that coach you mentally, for performance. And they use this, the unconscious mind stuff, and it doesn't work. It doesn't apply to human consciousness. It's guesswork, right? They've been teaching it for over 100 years. Pretty much the same way that golf has been teaching in PGA. Maybe it's a correlation there between PGA and psychology. Who knows? You never know. In the other channel I have, just to understand my approach here, I'm teaching parents to teach their own kids who are dyslexic how to overcome the dyslexia, because what I do there, the method I use here that I develop, always work, because it's based on what people actually do when they read. In every country, every world, in the people and all that stuff, right? Different cultures, all that social, everybody reads the same way in their heads. But people in the field of dyslexia, what do? They study what's wrong with people, right? So they start to categorize up everything that's wrong with the dyslexic. I met some. I look at the girl, she was like 13, 14 at the time. And I looked at the mother, so are you doing this? Like, oh yeah, I have a paper here. There are 5-6 pages of everything else. Well, and I looked at the kid. I said, and I said, so this is why you're dyslexic. And she was like, yeah. Well, and I threw the paper away. I said, doesn't help me. And it took 2 minutes to fix it. I'm not kidding you. She's been probably in school in 5-6 years, right? Ever since she started school, right? So how can I do that in 2 minutes? Because there's 2 points with this one, with dyslexic. You either have everything you need to have, but it's not organized properly, right? So with my approach, my method, the parent will allow the kid to organize it properly, and then you can have very fast results. I can have, like I did, a couple of minutes, they're not dyslexic anymore. The other case is when the functions they have in the contextual, in the skill level, is not there. Then you have to repeat it. Then you have to repeat it. You have to repeat it until it functions, right? So when you look down, you see the ball, your brain goes, swing. And you can't stop it, because your brain has the memory of it in the context. So as soon as you look down and try to do the drill, you can't do it because you will do your swing, and you're not supposed to. And if you don't know the difference, well, it's not my problem. You have to, develop those distinctions yourself by doing the work. So instead of making that comment about it looks different when you're in your drill and such, if you have done the drill the way I put out there on the YouTube videos previously, do this without the club in your hand, then you with the club, and you keep doing that for about 6 months, because as soon as you put the ball down and you change your grip, you will still do the old swing. And you just have to work until you don't do the old swing anymore, all those bad habits and compensations you develop as a 2-pro, Jordan Spieth. Yeah, they have, I feel sorry for Jordan Spieth. 10 years ago, he lost his game, 9 years ago, sorry. It was 2016 in Masters. I watched him day one, he was fighting his body. I was screaming in my heart, I'm watching it. I don't want to watch this shit. It's so fucking bad. Fix it, man, fix it, man. And the next day, I thought maybe they could fix it. And it's the same shit. Oh man, I was horrified, right? Third day, same thing. Fourth day, and we know what happened. He was in the lead after 9 holes in the fourth day. 5 shots the same. And then he drops 2 shots in the pond with the wedge. I mean, seriously, that's the easy shot for a 2-pro, right? But they can't do it. He lost the Master, and then he lost his game for the next 9 years now. And he's just average now. He could have won. I predicted how good he is. He could have won at least 10 majors in the last 9 years. That's how good his potential is. But he won none. And it wouldn't be surprised me he never wins one, because he can hit the ball all over the place. And he doesn't know why. His swing coach doesn't know why. I know why, Jordan. Call me, as I like to say. They never do that. The reason why I don't work is because I have an illness called ME/CFS. Some people call it long COVID. A lot of people say, well, it must be the vaccine. No, just to understand that the reason why I get this kind of shit is because of viruses. Now, COVID is one virus. Then you have flu virus. Then you have cold virus. Then you have herpes virus. Then you have Nile virus. Then you have, I don't know how many viruses. There are plenty of them. Most people already have a virus in the body. Some kind of herpes form. It's not deadly or something like that. It's just, annoying, people say. All those things can interact with the immune system. It's not a vaccine. People are, very fond of, conspiracy. I don't know why. I think it's schools and teachers. They don't teach you to think and to question. Well, is this really the way we should go about it? Yes, everybody else is teaching this. So everybody should speak Mandarin, because more people speak Mandarin, right? They don't speak Chinese, but they speak Mandarin. I don't know what they call it Chinese. In Sweden we call this language Swedish. In England, in English they call it English. Except if you're from Scotland, then they call it Scottish, or something like that. Or from Wales, then they call something like that, right? English is not, well, if you go to America, they don't speak English. They speak so you can actually understand what they say. Most accent they have in England is not understandable. I went to Scotland once. I asked the question, hey, can you, show me where I need to go in the train station? And the conductor, whatever it was, oh yeah, and he speaks Scottish, right? And I looked at him and smiled, thank you. And I went away to ask someone else, because I didn't understand one fucking word. I don't understand what people in your country, if you could do a service, you should be able to speak, English, people understand you. Kind of weird if you think about it. I think it's about a skill level, right? Or it's something, well, I'm a Scottish and I'm proud of my Scottish. I will never change to speak, English, people understand me. And I'm like, why not? Actors has to do that. There's the Welsh actor who was in The Mentalist. They didn't know he was from Wales. They thought he was American because he learned to speak American English. Everybody in your country can speak American English if you go and learn the skill level for it. It will actually be useful, especially when you're in the service. Tourist comes along and go, hello, I would like to know, and you will go speak American English to them and explain, and they will go, oh my God, you're American, and you go, no, I'm Welsh. Because I speak this normal, and then you speak, blah, blah, blah. And they look at you and go, wow, you're fucking amazing. And they go, huh? I just learned to speak in Mandarin. Oh yeah, but that's amazing. People will think you're pretty awesome doing that. Ooh, because it's a skill. But people in every country doesn't think it's about skills. They think about it's knowledge. No, it's not knowledge, it's skills. It's not secrets, it's skills. As soon as you look down, you see the ball, your brain go swing. And you can't stop your behavior. You can try to interrupt it, but it doesn't work for long. This is the reason why swing change takes a long time for people, because they don't understand that. You have to, one, exaggerate. You have to overdo everything. And since people already use their own reference for relaxation, people say, I'm relaxed now. And I'm looking, no, you're not. Yes, I am. I feel really relaxed. Well, in your head, maybe. But the rest of your body, well, my body is really relaxed. Yeah, your legs are relaxed. But your shoulders and arms, yeah, they're relaxed. No, they're not. Because then you have to take them and go, oh man, this feels weird. Because they never felt true relaxation. Your own perception will block your progress. Your own knowledge about the golf swing, which is wrong already. Everybody, Tupros doesn't understand the golf swing. That means the Tupro coach doesn't understand because they can't explain it. That means you, whoever you might be watching this, doesn't understand the golf swing at all. Everything you know about the golf swing mechanics are wrong. What can I say? 99% of everything PGA teaches will never reach scratch. You will never reach scratch in your lifetime with PGA. 90% will even be a single handicap level. That means 90% of the people that teach golf would be a low, mid handicap to high handicap. And nothing can fix it. I've seen ladies, they can't even get the ball in the air. Because they can't teach you. It's just shit. If the PGA will implement everything I know, 90% will be single handicap or better. The numbers will be opposite. Because what I teach, like I do in dyslexia, once you have the skill levels, you don't need the swing coach anymore. Your swing will just work. You will never struggle again. I have a couple of days ago, one guy, because I, talked about aiming for people and how it works. And he said, he had pushed the shot a couple of times on the range, and he was kind of confused about it because he hadn't done that for a while. And then he thought about what I've been, talking about the aiming, and said, I checked that, and that fixed it immediately. But if you don't know, you can't fix it. And Tupros, they don't know. Tupro coaches, they don't know how aiming works. They go, because they'll do this, look left, look left, look left, look left, look left. You can't stop doing it. So yeah, I know a lot of shit in the golf swing that people in the field of golf never suspected exists the last 400 years. Right? Because I have to do all of this research and testing and such. And then figure out a way to teach people without, telling them what's going on. That's what's going on here. So yeah, there's going to be differences, of course, but you have to do the work. Because they will give you the answers. I won't give you any answers. I will just give you, the reason why you suck at golf, because they teach you the modern golf grip. And the second thing is that when you look down, your brain will fire off, swing, and you can't stop it. So how are you going to learn to fix everything you do with your compensations if your brain is fucking you up all the time? It's not unconscious. As soon as you look down, your brain goes, oh, time to swing. Because that's how you remember it. It's contextual memory. So now you have to start doing the drill and learn to create enough difference of distinction between those until you can teach your brain what you want actually to do. And that takes time. For most amateurs, it takes at least 6 months, maybe more, in some cases. Sometimes less. But, 6 months is, a number. It's like that guy, who wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Everybody talks about the number of the universe is 42. He was just writing, and then, what number should I put down? 42, let's do it. He could have picked any random number, he just picked 42. And everybody now believes and assumes 42 is the secret to the universe. Right? It's not, it's just made up. Like Lord of the Rings, like the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is a concept that's made up. It doesn't exist. And it's wrong, and it doesn't work for psychology. Because it leads to people in psychology therapists, they ask you a question like, hey, as a client, my life is shit. The the therapist do, so how do you feel about that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, if you like a shit, how do you feel about that? Do you want me to punch you? That's a stupid question you asked me. And the therapist go, well, you passive aggressive now. No, I'm not. You asked me a stupid question. I like the shit. I don't want to think about what that means. I'm just pissed off now. And then they say, well, you're passive aggressive. No, you're not. They ask a stupid question. Because they ask those who reflect the question, how do you think about that? Anyway, time to go.